an integrity a process that is full of integrity, where you go cast your vote, you don't need to be assisted, and even the clerks that are supposed to preside over whether it is in a primary or in general election are people also who are not going to manipulate the voters. That would be the ideal situation. Now that we are faced with this issue of having so many agents, and some of them are kept even out of the halls of voting because of the sheer number, the way Esther has just said, because you may have like 4 political parties, and each party has all their candidates, so it's almost like 24 candidates being voted for in that polling station. And if one of them has 2, you are talking of 48 people in a polling station, apart from the clerks and the officers presiding over the process. It is something that we must go through, ask ourselves when elections are over, how can we do these elections better? Because it is a national exercise, and we need to do it in a way that our people get the best out of this exercise. Number 2, I would also expect the government to speed up the process of security in areas like Marakwet, West Pokot, Baringo,
yes,
and other areas where it is prone to insecurity, so that come August, people should be able to get their leaders, the leaders they deserve.
Right. Let's hear from Dr. Ashim Machodo.
The BAL, perhaps this is an experience, a learning experience for IBC as well, in a different context. IBC has given confidence that the new company that's coming up with the integrated system is going to do an excellent job within time. As an informatician,
yes,
I know it's not very easy within a span of 3 or 4 months to procure a system. You're talking of about 40,000 units, have staff adequately trained, those systems installed, integrated, tested, retested, debugged, and have them working perfectly or reasonably perfect by 8th of August. I am very skeptical. I see a red flag. I don't have the confidence that IBC has that they will be able to do this. And particularly when I haven't seen experienced project managers taking this program, because this is a huge exercise being mounted. So just by way of caution early enough, that despite the assurances that IBC is giving, I am not equally confident. On page 15 of The Nation today, I've shared an opinion piece
page 15
on how not to rig or to unrig elections. Having been in politics for about 30 years, first as a student leader at the University of Nairobi, my experience are that there are about 100 different ways of rigging. But for me, 5 stick out most important. The first one, of course, is the aspect of 30% of the eligible voting population being left out. The second one is where we are now, the party primaries. This is where elections are wrongly or fairly or unfairly lost. In the book Dawn of a Rainbow, chapter 9, I capture my own experience in the year 2007, while as an ODM candidate. I won in a primary, but the party Supremo didn't want me. They wanted somebody else. Strangely enough, the person they wanted, my competitor at the time, 5 years later, was being rigged out. He called me to say, Shem Kumbe, you saw these things long time ago. But that's how it is. So for this time, I just decided it's not worth that effort. You win, but then at midnight, Nairobi announces that you've been locked out, you've been blocked because there was violence, while in Omabay County, where I come from, there was no violence in the 207. The whole story is captured in chapter 9 of the book for anybody. But interestingly, some of these parties, every 5 years, they tell people that this time we are going to do very clean, free, fair election. What amazes me is that Kenyans seem to trust them. But they're cheated every 5 years and they still believe.
Yes.
And it amazes me. My sister Esther here talks about technology. In fact, for information, M-Vote, M-Kura already exists. On Google Apps, you can download M-Kura and do a mock election of the last 2013 election. You have the 8 presidential candidates with full ballot paper in color, like just what you have when you go to vote. And in barely 2-3 minutes, you can complete a whole election from the comfort of your home. So the technology already exists, and this is secure technology. M-Vote, which is even a superior version of M-Kura. We did an experiment in December. Kenya University Students Union, Kenya students in Russia and the Commonwealth of Independent States, they were electing their leaders. So we used this technology with fairly acceptable results.
Right.
In April last year, we also piloted with Daystar University, DUSA, the Daystar University Students Association. They were electing. Basically, these technologies already exist, so it's not the lack of technology. Estonia, again, as my sister was saying, has smart cards. It's something similar that we tried in Rwanda, having a smart card. You do not need to have a separate ID from passport, from driving license, and so on and so forth. In the case of Rwanda, the integration was between ID and the driving license. You have one document which has both. This really is the way to go. And Kenya should be spearheading, in my view. And I'm hoping that come the next elections, we will be able to go through the entire process of mobile voting, whereby instead of the long queues I was seeing in Migori, you could still, people don't need to spend 3 hours waking up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock to go and vote.
Right, thank you. And for those who are interested, you can actually pick a copy of the Daily Nation on opinion page 15, where also Shem Ochodo has written this. Party primaries, there you have it on the screen, 5 major ways to prevent the rigging of elections in Kenya. So they're all fleshed out for you on page 15 of the Daily Nation. And still on that beat, when we're talking about security, we understand also in Eldoret, the aspirant Dr. Swaroop Mishra suffered neck and stomach injuries and was admitted to Medihill Hospital. He was on an oxygen mask when the nation also visited the hospital to just get a glimpse of what is happening there. And this just highlights what is happening, especially with the aspirants. And one of them also is Isaac Mwaura, that we understand was shot last week. He was on phone right now to just bring us to speed to tell us how he's faring on. A very good morning to you, Isaac Mwaura, if you're on the line this morning. First of all, yes, we were meant to have you in studio today, but I understand also you're working late into the night, of course, with these party primaries as well. Will you mind us, or would you mind just bringing us to speed on what is happening to you, how you're faring on, first of all, and how are you seeing the Jubilee primaries today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Debal. I'm very okay. I'm still recovering from the attack.
Yes.
And we have been going on with the preparations. We've had to do 2 elections.
Yes.
Within a very short time. And that is why, of course, we are burning the midnight oil to ensure that we reorganize ourselves, because most candidates, of course, had planned to finish this whole, exercise on Friday. And so, therefore, it's a very, tough moment for many candidates who have to do a repeat of the exercise as we speak. So, yes, of course, it's been challenging. We are very encouraged by the fact that many people are still willing to come out, and I would still want to encourage the many people who showed up on Friday to very early. The polling stations are going to open at 7 to 5 o'clock. And so I really want to ask my supporters, because even by conservative estimates, I was really winning this election, to really come out in big numbers, and so that not to get discouraged. Obviously, with the merging of the many political parties within the Jubilee strongholds, then this was the main election. Because then if you get the Jubilee ticket, ostensibly, then you are as good as a member of parliament, just like it would happen in other strongholds of other major political parties. And so therefore, we really want to ask, the Jubilee members and supporters not, to waver at all. I mean, this was a logistical challenge, and that is faced by many political parties. It's not something that is only, a precept of the Jubilee party. And so guys should really come out and vote and ensure that really we have a good opportunity to move our constituency, rural constituency, forward, and of course even those other counties that are within the Jubilee ambit.
Right, allow me to also hark back to, in terms of security, first of all, what really happened to you? Because many of the viewers will want to know what happened to you, and do you think in any way this was politically instigated?
It was, of course, politically instigated, because what had happened is that I put up some structure for the border people upon their request. And when, after doing that, some opponent went and demolished the same structure and started putting up, his own, really. And so when I went there, it was calculated, then there was that attack. And it was not the first time. I mean, there was a time I had a meeting, the same individual came with his vehicles and blocked the venue. He had to be chased away by the people after, his supporters had even pelted stones in my car. There was also another time I had a meeting. So it's because, obviously, this individual has been on the ground for 10 years, and he thought that the incumbent, of course, he would defeat her, only for this one Isaac Mora to come and spring and rush to the finishing line, race very quickly. So obviously he was jilted, and then of course he was losing the election, and that is why he had to do what he had to do. But for me as a Christian, I have forgiven him. I move forward because I know the people really are with me, and we're going forward. I'm still nursing the injury. I had to be reconstructed my whole year. I had to spend a whole night at the theater at the Nairobi hospital. And if you see me, I have a very huge ear now because it's still swollen with a big bandage. But it's fine. It's okay. It's part of life. And I graciously move forward with the hope and belief that we can move this country forward if given the mandate to be the representative of the people of Ruiru constituency.
Thank you very much. And of course, we also wish you a quick recovery. You're not feeling poorly anymore as it were before. And of course, you being on the mend right now, we wish you a quick recovery as well. But before I let you go, in terms of the sense of loss that maybe you have experienced with this, because this also was a question that I put to Esther Passaris as well. You had your agents also who were spread across counties or your county to make sure that, yes, they are overlooking the entire exercise. How much of a loss have you experienced so far?
Well, the ball is extremely expensive. I can tell any Kenyan that Kenyan elections are very expensive because the whole area around election campaign financing is everyone for himself, God for us all. And with these huge losses that people have incurred, for example, you have to pay the agents, you have to, have your mobilizers, you have to do security because it's important in the elections, especially when sometimes the police are not as impartial. When you have also to ensure that you have, all those things like transportation of people who would otherwise have mobility difficulties, like people with disabilities. The other logistics, your clerks, all the people work in the secretariat, and it's huge. It's a lot of money, I can tell you. And then, of course, there's that other aspect of campaigning. Any extra day that is extended means you have to spend more. And it has been extreme. You spend in terms of millions of shillings. And so, therefore, the losses are huge for any serious candidate. For fringe candidates, I think this election only helps them to realize that they may not have been well prepared. But for those of us who are front runners, for those of us who are the main protagonists, it's really, really something that I tell you for sure is very costly. And I think in future, we may also want to regulate the amount of money used in elections, because clearly, if you are a poor man, you cannot participate in such elections, and especially when the party is not able to hold proper elections because of logistical nightmares that are unexpected.
Yes.
I think it's something that we need to look forward, and also the bar give a huger kitty to political parties to conduct the primaries, because then if the political parties are able to do them more properly, then it reduces, by extension, the cost of our own mobilization, of our own structures, so that then you can have a credible process that is once and for all.
Thank you. Many thanks indeed, Isaac Mora, Ruiru aspirant. We thank you, running on a Jubilee ticket. We thank you very much also for your sentiment this morning. Of course, he was meant to be here, but he slept through the alarm. Of course, he went through the entire exercise trying to prepare for today through the night, and so this is bound to happen, slipping through the alarm as well. But let me just come back to Esther Passaris, because also women, in terms of security, they've borne the brunt of this exercise, being beaten. Some of them also they were kidnapped here and there. We had in Nyeri, Ms. Sheila Githaiga, the only woman in the county's Senate race, was surrounded. It says, according to reports, by about 30 men armed with batons and machetes at Bellevue Village in Kieni West. That was last Monday, I think 2 weeks ago. That really happened there, and they were telling her, drop your bid or we're going to really act on you. And fair enough, God actually had to rescue the lady because they didn't harm her, I should say.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what, first of all, talking about, looking at Maura saying that primaries are very expensive, I'll tell you what, with me and every other woman who's running for county woman representative,
Yes.
I have 17 constituencies. So you can imagine, Maura is probably going to deal with his constituency, probably about 50 agents, polling stations. I'm dealing with 360 in the whole county. Now, this woman rep seat was actually a punishment for the woman, all right? And I think one of the things that we really have to address is when this woman goes around the entire county campaigning, when she comes to parliament, her salary is the same as the MP, the allowance, who's got a constituency, and the allowance for development in the county is 7 million shillings per constituency. So we do have a lot of issues where we really need to empower the woman. I'd like to congratulate Mishi in Mombasa for winning the ticket for the MP seat. I think that's fantastic. I hope we're going to have a lot more MPs that come through this election so that we can actually pass bills that empower the woman and basically the woman rep seat. Now, when it comes to the elections, what was your question?
The security.
The security,
yes.
Security, let me tell you what. ODM has got fantastic structures, and I've worked through the structures of ODM, and that's an advantage. But we do have a big problem of unemployment, and this is something that us leaders have to address. So when you go into certain areas, like I wanted to go into Madare to campaign, and I was actually told, sorry, if you want to come here, we need to prepare security, we need to give security from the ground, we've got to give the youth there who are unemployed allowances for you to be able to walk freely through Madare. I actually cancelled going to campaign in Madare because of this threat of insecurity and the extortion of money, for you as a candidate, for you to go through these areas. We also had a few problems in other areas, but we managed to sit down and negotiate. And I feel that this is the unemployment, the alcohol abuse, and also the fact that us as leaders have let down the electorate. So when they see you, they actually feel, all right, you're going to come here now, and after 5 years, we'll see you again. So let us get the maximum out of you. So they want employment and security. They want respect when you go in. And it's really tough. I mean, I was going through Makadara the other day, and this group of people were really stopping the truck from moving. So what we did is they said, take our leader, take our leader. We took the leader on top of the truck. And we drove off with him, and I sat with him, and I said, what business do you do? I engaged him on the truck, and he says, look, we have chicken business, and we have some other business that he said he was running. And I said, why don't you wait until the elections are over, vote me in, and then we see how we can help you. But they don't want to hear this, and this is something that I want to tell all the leaders that are going to be elected. Really, I know that we get frustrated during campaigns, we get manhandled probably by the voter, but this is the situation that has been caused by the past leadership not delivering. So what we've got to do is, most of them say, you'll switch off your phone as soon as you get in, we'll never get access to you, you'll change your number. I really feel that as leaders, if we want the future generation to have elections that are not with so much stress and insecurity, we really need to lift people out of poverty. We need to lift people out of drug and alcohol abuse because, going through Majengo, it was sad to see little kids, all intoxicated, going through Isli to see such bad roads and such so much garbage. We actually are failing the citizens, and they are the ones who put us in office. It's not you and I, Dibal, that put leaders in office. It's the majority, the masses, that we are not serving very well. We're not serving them.
Okay, let's hear from, we want to talk about also using state resources because I think the former Law Society of Kenya CEO Apollo Mboya has moved to court, especially with the Jubilee website, with the delivery portal website, which they launched on its achievement. And he filed a suit arguing that the government cannot use public resources to advertise its achievement during election period, which he said was against Section 14 of the Election Act. Do you think in any way the Jubilee administration was actually using state resources in terms of when we look at the delivery portal and talking about the achievements, when also we had the president talking about the Jubilee primaries from State House, people also took special umbrage with that, and they're saying, why is the government using state resources? They should have been doing this at the Jubilee headquarters.
Well, there is a very thin line between the president and also the party leader of Jubilee Party, because it's the same person, and at times we ask for too much. But it's also important for those who are in power to be very cautious about what they are doing and whether they are abusing the very resources that Kenyans gave them for purposes of serving us. I do not want to engage on that matter, because if it is a matter before the court, decorum demands that such issues will be dispensed with by a court of law.
But the Constitution also gives us the beauty of commenting a bit, not really going into the subject matter deeply, but you can weigh in on it.
You know, we can weigh in.
That's the beauty of a progressive constitution.
On the overall, it is always good to separate the office that the public has given you on trust and your own politics. That's why even in the past, ministers were not allowed to use their official vehicles during campaign period. Now, number two, I would have expected even that website that the Jubilee is trying to portray to be more accurate than what it is today, because it has actually become campaign propaganda. They talk of about 6,000 kilometers of tarmac when they have done less than 500 since they took over, and many other things which are not accurate. So I would have expected them, if it is government platform, let it be accurate the way we can get from the normal review. But I thought there was a more important issue, the issue of harassment of candidates. It is something we must condemn. Whether it's a woman or a man, we must condemn any harassment of individuals, because this is what breeds violence. But this is fundamental, because what Esther has said is very true. There is so much business that is going on that is not formal. What we need to do, those who will get to power, is to see how to capture that informal business, because about 76% of our GDP is contributed by the informal sector. What we need to do is, how do we upscale that informal? How do we standardize? How do we patent some of the innovations that our people have, so that we are able to grow this economy? Because what we've been relying in terms of employment is the formal sector. But the formal sector can be expanded by ensuring that we lift some of the businesses like the Juakali into a standardized way. Then we can franchise some of the innovations such that the whole country is served, and even beyond the borders of Kenya. It is a problem of poverty, it's a problem of impunity, and also a problem of violence that is latent in many Kenyans' bloodstream, and that is where we really go wrong.
All right, let's hear from Dr. Shemuchodo.
Debal, first our empathies with Honorable Isaac Mwaura. As you have done, we wish him quick recovery. Of course, there have also been other people who've either been kidnapped or injured or purported to have been kidnapped and so on. So it's also a period of post-truths. Sometimes it's hard to know what's true, what's not. But whatever the case is, trying to get to power or stop others getting into power by force is a crime, it's criminal, and needs to be prosecuted. In my 5 points of what I think are the major ways of rigging or unrigging elections, one of them is failure to comply with the law. We have rules which we don't go by, and we see some of the political parties and leaders violate them left and right, and IBC doesn't take the necessary action. So even despite the threats that IBC and the deadlines that it gives, at the end of the day, a major problem that we have that we must address is fidelity of the law. Can we be faithful to the law when the law says this is what it should be? That's what it should be. It shouldn't be matter whether it's Uhuru or Raila or Kirwa or Shem or whoever it is. That law needs to be applied across board. That's a problem that we still have. Having said that, the aspect of campaign financing, because we have commercialized and monetarized our campaigns. I think it was very unfortunate that Parliament did shelve the Campaign Finance Act, which put a capping on how much money people would use. Because currently, basically what we have is, it's not how much the citizens or the constituents like or love you. It is how much you can dispense. That's what carries the day, and that's not what it should be. As Kenya Diaspora Alliance, we will, of course, be standing by certain candidates and parties, but those we will be standing for must be those who, among other things, they must commit when they come to power in the 13th Parliament, they must reintroduce and effect the Campaign Finance Act, because we need to have a limit to how much money we throw around.
Hold on to that thought, because we have to cross over now to Kirinyaga, where Kennedy Muriithi is standing by to keep us apprised on what is happening. Earlier on, we saw that it was going on smoothly. So let's see how it is right now so far, if maybe we have any officials also on the ground from the Jubilee Party as well. Kennedy Muriithi.
Dibal, nice discussion you're having there in studio, but here on the ground we are still at St. Joseph Primary School here in Kirinyaga Central constituency, where voting is underway, and at some streams already there are no people who are there because guys have already come, cast their votes and left. But also at the other stream, maybe Dixon you can show, there is a line that is waiting to go in and exercise their democratic right, that is by voting. On the other side of, just behind my cameraman, there are people who are streaming in. The weather keeps on changing at every minute. 1 minute it is raining, the other minute it is not. But that is not dampening the spirit of some of the people who are coming here to vote. Right now we're also getting reports that there are other polling stations where people have not started voting yet. We have just spoken to one of the governorship aspirants, that is One Waiguru, who's just told us that she's going to one of the polling stations in Wanguru, where she's understood that voting has not started and even ballot papers are not there. We have also gotten reports. One of the distribution centers is Kaitheri Polytechnic here in Kirinyaga Central constituency, and we are getting reports that lorries are still there ready to go and distribute ballot papers and voting material to the different constituency polling centers. Now that is just the latest of what we are getting as of now, but right now as what we can report is that voting is going on properly at this particular voting station, and there is nothing much, no much ado. There is security that has been beefed up. There are people, but we are going to find out which polling stations these are that have not started voting so that we can get a full report. Immediately we do get the former devolution cabinet secretary Anne Waiguru. We'll be able to be giving you maybe a live from where she will be so that we can get some of her concerns. Some of the people who are also coming here to vote are whispering in our ears that the fact that these ballot papers are a photocopy of the original is causing some tension, but they do hope that nobody will be able to manipulate this process. But as of now, we will be keeping you abreast on what is happening and just also getting a view and a feel of what the voters who are coming here will be giving us. Remember, just as we told you, Dibal, is that this particular polling station has around 3,800 voters, and all of them, they do expect are going to come vote as the day progresses. This is a town center and people are busy, and they'll be coming before the polls close at around 5. We will also be trying to find the county returning officer who will tell us whether the polling stations that have not started voting as of now, time will be extended. But as of now, I'll be handing you over to Lois, who is in Eldoret, to give us a feel and what is on the ground as of now.
Many thanks indeed. But before we cross over to Lois Ongwe, she's standing by just to bring you up to speed as well, that you may be waking up and you're wondering what is happening in Kisumu and Siaya. ODM nominations in Kisumu and Siaya counties have been called off and pushed to tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Communications by the party National Elections Board Chairperson Judith Perono said voting in Kisumu has been pushed to Tuesday due to inadequate security. This is while the Siaya nominations have been postponed after a mishap in the distribution of voting materials. Ms. Pereno said that decision was arrived at due to unavoidable circumstances. The National Elections Board has assessed the security, she says, situation in Kisumu and observed that the planned primaries scheduled for today in the county cannot proceed as scheduled. Therefore, the board has decided to postpone the exercise to Tuesday, April the 25th. depending on the involvement of security situation. And of course, we shall be keeping you apprised on these as well. In a moment, we'll be crossing over to Nandi, where our reporter Lois Ongoye, she is standing by. But before we even head there, let's continue with the discussion here briefly before we cross over to Lois Ongoye as she's putting her ducks in a row. The Political Parties Tribunal had given Orange Democratic Movement until 11 a.m. last Friday to reconstitute the Kisumu County Elections Board or face legal actions. In light of what we are reading also from now, the Secretariat, do you think maybe this particular situation didn't happen because last Friday and today is really cutting it too close, don't you think? Let's talk to the ODM person. Esther Pasaris.
Sorry, I was looking at the tweets. Sorry, I was looking at the tweets.
All right, let's hear from Honorable Kirwa there in this regard.
Yes.
Yes. What do you think about this development? Because they were supposed to actually constitute, you know, the Kisumu County Elections Board, but they didn't do that, and they were bound also to be facing some legal actions. Could this in any way have also developed this particular new happening that they had to postpone the elections to tomorrow?
Well, I think the parties are ill-prepared for this exercise. All parties across the board. You can hear in Kirinyaga they are doing photocopies, which means whatever they had printed abroad, and there was a lot of bravado about it.
They were watermarked and serialized,
yes,
and they cannot photocopy the watermarks. So now you have to print this again.
How many photocopies can you create? And therefore, what is the integrity of the exercise? As for ODM, I do not know the details, but I suspect that they are facing the same issues, and also the tension, given the fact that the competition is so fierce between the candidates in Kisumu, among the candidates in Kisumu, and also in Siaya. But taking it from today to tomorrow, I do not know what the magic they will do overnight if they were not able to do it over the weekend. But I wish them well. I think it is important that we wish each and every party, whether they are our competitors or not, a successful exercise, free of ugly incidents, so that we build a momentum for us to campaign for the next 3 months towards August 8. I think that is important, and that is something fundamentally that we as Kenyans must look forward to.
All right, thank you. We'll come to you, Dr. Shemo Cholo, but let's cross over to Nandi, where Lois Ongoye is standing by. Lois, just bring us up to speed what is happening currently since we talked to you.
Indeed, Dibala, as mentioned earlier, we are here in Nandi County. Currently, I'm at Kipkoror polling station in this primary school, where the voting exercise for the nomination process is yet to kick off. Speaking to Ananchi here, they tell me they came as early as 4 a.m. just to be able to participate in this electoral process, but that has not been able to take place because the voting material is yet to get here. Let's just get a word from one or two of them. Habari yako, tuambie majina yako.
My name is Victor Kipkoech.
Tuambie majina yako tafadhali.
Yes, my name is Victor Kipkoech in Praga, the Arotap Market. Just we are telling you people that we are waiting for these people to come and tell us if they are there to reach us and tell us we are there to put on voting materials here. We are waiting you people, and we are in dilemma. We are telling you people we are in dilemma, and we are just there telling people that let's be impatient waiting for these aspirants to come here and tell us to vote for the Nandi Hills constituency MP, such as will be okay at that time. Thank you.
Asante sana. Majina yako mzee?
Mimi naitwa Daniel Kiprono Kebenai. Tumekaa hapa kutoka saa 11 tukingojea ballot papers, lakini hajaingia. Hatujui kwa nini, na tumepanga laini na tunangojea kwa hamu.
Haya, tupate maoni yako. Ulifika saa ngapi? Pengine mtaendelea kusubiri ama mnaona ilikuwa venye ilikuwa siku ya Friday? Tuangalie kamera pale tafadhali.
Wakaaji wa hapa waliweza kufika hapa saa 10 alfajiri wakiwa wako tayari kupiga kura. Tunaomba tu hata kama kura imechelewa, nafikiria hapa Nandi County na Nandi Hills constituency tutafika kura ya haki na ukweli, na wananchi wa hapa wachakupa roho, wanangoja watapiga kura. Wakati wote kura ikifika, sisi tuko tayari kupiga kura. Sasa
Asante sana. Nandi Hills constituency, remember, is one of the 6 constituencies that comprise Nandi County. This particular parliamentary seat will attract a lot of interest and a lot of eyes from Kenyans, because this is the current MP, the sitting MP is Alfred Keter. Remember, he's battling for that very important nomination, the Jubilee nomination ticket, among others, with Emmanuel Talam. Emmanuel Talam has been a journalist before and currently working in the office of the DP. Another important seat to watch is the gubernatorial seat. The incumbent is Dr. Cleophas Lagat. His background is in education, but on this day he is battling among others KANU era politician Henry Kosgei. He is back and he is sitting and he is also seeking rather the Jubilee nomination ticket. Also, the area Senator Stephen Sang is also eyeing that important nomination for the gubernatorial position, and not forgetting former CS Agriculture Felix Koskei, who is also eyeing it. So will Cleophas Lagat remain the sheriff in town, or will we have anyone from the others who are eyeing this seat? We'll be able to give you that update, and indeed others from Nandi County as that unfolds. Remember, Nandi County is among the Jubilee strongholds in the country, and so for those winners of today, August 8th will pretty much be a ceremonial election of sorts, because getting this particular nomination means it is almost a direct ticket to the elective posts that these aspirants are seeking. For now, back to you in Nairobi, Jabal.
Many thanks indeed. Lois Wangui there reporting from Nandi, where she's keeping us apprised on what is happening with new development in Nandi. Of course, you can hear sentiments from the voters are frustrated, as some of them, they've not been able to vote up until now. But of course, we're keeping our eyes peeled and keeping out our ears to hear what is happening down there on the ground. We still continue the conversation here with our panelists. And maybe I should come to you, Esther, because should you maybe lose, right, the nominations in Nairobi with the ODM ticket, and maybe, I don't know if, Honorable Kiro, you have a direct ticket, yeah, from the ANC? Yes,
I do.
You do, right? Shemo Chodo, I don't know if you're voting in the diaspora, you've not told us. But indeed, you know, there's a lot of dissatisfied, they say, losers who will intend to run as independent, right? Maybe we should just take a short break before you answer that. Think about it. Will we have a flash of independence this time forth? And what is the regulation on that? Because we're given also to understand there is the period between now and then. I think it's May the 20th, May the 20th or May the 29th, when now you should actually be a registered independent, you know.
I think it's May 8th.
May 8th. Yeah. Right. So we'll come back with that. Well, let's take a short break right now and discuss also the future of the independents. So what does it portend with the primaries if they lose? How many of them will we have running as independents? On the other side of a break, we drill deeper into that issue. Well, many thanks indeed for your valid company with us here on this installment of Decision 2017. And of course, we are bringing you up to speed from the counties, what is happening right now with the Jubilee and ODM primaries as well. Some of the counties have cancelled their exercise until tomorrow. And of course, our reporters also are standing on ground they're standing by on ground to give us a live update on that as well. And we had also Kennedy Mredi from Kirinyaga also bringing us to speed with what is happening currently there. The weather is looking good today. It's not as grey and overcast as it was last Friday. So we continue the conversation here with our panelists this morning, and we just want to drill deeper on the issue of the independent candidates, because it seems a lot of the candidates will be frustrated. Many of them are saying this particular primaries have been, you know, checkered with the issue of rigging. Some of the ballot papers we are given to understand even from Kirinyaga, now they're printing ballot papers. And of course, we knew from the Secretariat they had given assurance that the ballot papers are intact, they're genuine and kosher, and they have serial numbers and they're watermarked, and they cannot even, the watermarks cannot be printed. So far, what is happening in Kirinyaga, right? It is not also with Jubilee alone. ODM's National Elections Board had also changed their features on ballot papers to make them different from those used early in Kakamega, they said, Busia and Kisii counties, to forestall rigging. This issue of rigging, because so many people are frustrated. We've seen some of them that have actually bowed out. Paulo Tuoma, first of all, was frustrated. Right now, he's bound to be running as an independent. We had also Dr. James Kesami as well, who we saw what was happening in Nyamira as well. He expresses frustration, especially with the primaries, and right now, we don't know if he'll run as an independent as well. And I'd pose this question to you: if maybe at this particular primaries you feel shortchanged, then what?
I'll tell you what, first of all, I think we should have a law that sets the deadline for all parties, because party hopping will create a lot of confusion and a lot of messes. Okay, so if we have one date so that you can't really move, once you've gone with your party, you can't move out after a certain date. Because I'm looking at this ballot paper and I'm suggesting to IEBC that have a separate ballot paper for independents. So if you know your candidate is an independent, then you have the separate ballot paper, but because you need a logo for independent, people are not going to be familiar for it, it's going to be a lot of confusion. And then you have so many political parties, right? Can you imagine how long this ballot paper is going to be? You literally have to sit down and do a lesson before you can find your candidate. It's going to be a very, very difficult exercise, and this is why I feel we should go electronic, so that you just key in the name of the person that you want and it pops up on the front and you vote. We can't avoid to move forward because we want manipulated elections. Our leaders have a moral obligation to steer Kenya in the right direction, and that means let's get an election process that works. The independents are going to be so many because now they have the option to jump. And I think anybody who felt that, I'm sure if I look at somebody like Sonkom, he must be very organized in his mind. If he's going to be denied the Jubilee ticket unfairly, right, then I'm sure what he's going to do is he's already got everything that he needs to be compliant, right? But then IBC, if influenced, can actually say that, oh, we need more time to verify that your 2,000 members are actually your members. And this is crazy. I see a lot of people, when I was looking for the 2,000 members in the beginning, I realized that some people are actually in political parties that they never even signed up to. So what happened with the Register of Political Parties, I think they just looked at your name. If your name was a Luo name, they swung you here. If it was a Luo name, they put you there. If it was a Kikuyu name, Kalenjin name. So people are actually in political parties that they don't even know. And now with the nominations, if we're going to use the party list, a lot of people who registered with IEBC that expect to vote for the nominations are going to come in and see that their names are not there if we're not using the IEBC list. This is so much confusion. And then, people are going to get disheartened, and then it's going to have an impact on the elections in August. So IEBC, if they're going to end up with a list of 20 here, with political parties, another 20, you're going to have this long strip of paper, and the independents, I don't know if it's going to be in alphabetical order, according to your surname. So like for me, P, right down there, if you're an A name, then you're up there, because that's how they do it. I think they do it according to the surname, order. Alphabetical order.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's hear from also Honorable Kirua as well.
Well, there are two things that we must read together. One is the Bill of Rights under Section 38 of the Article 38 of the Constitution, where we are given a freedom of choice. But that freedom of choice also must be done in an environment that you'll be given the opportunity to be voted in or to be rejected by the voters. So I will share part of our story that it may be necessary that in future there should be an independent arbiter to run the exercise of nomination. And there is nothing magic about printing some of these ballots abroad. I would have expected even Kama and Printer, with all the security it has, they just print these ballots, the names are released, and you go to a polling station, you can have all the political parties having the same exercise in the same hall. I enter, I'm told I'm NASA or I'm ANC, I go to my line. I'm ODM, you go to your line. So that at the end of the day, you vote for one candidate for one slot. And as you come out as Kenyans, you will have already gotten a list of people. But my worry, and this is something that is important, is that the exercise is already flawed. Now, if you lock somebody out of exercising the opportunity to run again, then you are already denying him that right, given the fact that out of the current list of members of parliament, 68 of them ran in parties other than the original parties they ran in the primaries, which tells you political parties are not yet ready to run this exercise. And there is a lot of unfairness that many people may be faced with.
All right, and Omosh Kane may agree with you as well on that issue of having independent party really running the primaries. He says there should be a special body to perform all the party nominations in Kenya to avert chaos. And we're talking also about the issue of security of materials as well, because I think this should be a good learning point also for the country, where security materials should be given, much premium, concentration and also oversight, because this has been the case with Kajiado as well, where we had a truck carrying ballot papers, and some of these ballot papers also were banned. So the issue of electoral materials security itself, I think it's something also we overlook as a country, right? And I don't know even IBC if maybe this is something they're really thinking about, because we saw the ballot, not even the BVR kits in I think northern country of this country, where the police station was invaded by Al-Shabaab, and the ballot BVR kits were taken.
Perhaps before getting to the security of the materials, in terms of, it's important to clarify that party hopping long stopped. So one who is moving from a party now cannot go to another political party. Secondly, the Constitution in Article 85 does say independent candidates must present their documents to IBC 90 days or 3 months before the election date. So meaning those who want to run as independents have up to 8th of May to do that. It's vital to know that. Having said that, in terms of the security of materials, rather than isolate it, I wanted to look at it as the larger operational logistics that we've been talking about. The transport and logistics is a trade, and there are professions specialized in that. I wouldn't, for example, come out and say, well, I'm going to be able to run this. In as much as it sounds easy, when push comes to shove, it becomes very difficult. You need experts who know how to deal with the logistics. And that includes the security aspect. The security, the training, the handling, the storage, and all the transportation, and that all entire aspect require professionals. So I agree with the caller who says that we need professional independent bodies. They could be non-state or state. For me, IBC should have conducted these nominations. But that not being what it is, we as Kenyans, as the taxpayer, we need to be prepared to absorb the cost to ensure that we have free and fair nominations.
And I think also one important key that I can see also some of people are asking, and I think Maendeleo Chap has taken this particular route. I don't know, maybe because they don't have capacity to run the nominations, but the issue of consensus, where you have the delegation system for party primaries. What do you think about it? Should it be the way to go instead of carrying out the nominations and you don't have the wherewithal? Just call people in Kasarani or Uhuru Park and have the consensus system, the delegates coming for the party primaries. What do you think, Esther?
Well, you can't really have all the delegates fit into one place. I think it's going to be a bit of a problem, and the logistical issues. People are working, people are busy, and even this primary is being conducted during working days. Majority are managing to go because majority of the masses that vote are actually Juakali, self-employed Kenyans. We have to go electronic. We have to go electronic. We can have electronic centers where you come in and you're assisted to vote. But then again, it's a question of the Kenyan integrity. Are we as Kenyans of high integrity? When they're talking about rigging, these boxes are supposed to be transparent. You vote and you put it in. They're supposed to come in empty. So I can't understand, how do you stuff votes in a center where you have agents, you have a returning officer, you have a presiding officer, and you have a transparent box, right? Okay, I'm looking at the ones that are there right now, they're opaque, but it all boils down to the election board. If they really want to do a free and fair and credible election, then they have to put in place things that make everyone see that it's free and fair. You start off with an empty box, ballots are putting in, the agents are there, they're observing, then when it comes to counting, you all sit there, you see it, you count it, you place it. It should be easy to do that. But where do we go wrong? What is wrong with us as a people? Do we want to see more people die? because of this.
All right.
You know, it's a question of us as Kenyans. I mean, how do you live with yourself when you know you did something so wrong that caused someone to lose their father, their son, their mother? I don't know. It's the value system of our country is really gone down.
It's really gone down. Of course, you can see there pictures from Kirinyaga, and we have voters casting their votes right now. And now we have also Migori on screen, one of the contentious counties as well in terms of security issues. We saw one of the bodyguards of Hassan Joho from Mombasa also being shot on the leg when they were going actually for some voter mobilization exercise in Migori. One of the contentious issues that people, and of course also Esther Passaris, she's raising this morning, is about the security of the ballot materials as well. We can see lots of them, they have tie-ups, and in light of technology that we have currently, that is very clear when you can see if maybe we have ballot papers that have been stuffed in. But in terms of ballot materials getting lost along the way, in light of where we are in this epoch of time with technology, why is it, maybe I should pose this particular question to Shem Machoda, because you are the IT expert here today. Microchips. It is very easy to track these ballot papers wherever they're going. True. So the issue of telling us that, oh, they disappeared and we don't know, or they're in some house of some aspirant somewhere and people and security guards, they're actually going to invade your house to check every room and nook and cranny to see if their ballot papers should not be coming up. In this epoch of time, I think we have microchips. We can always track every ballot paper or every ballot box that is serialized right to the polling station or wherever they're actually stored for security purposes. Isn't that the case?
You're pretty right, the BAL. I've all along argued for a full-scale, an entire value chain that's automated. Right from the time people are registered, voters go to register, the biometrics and so on, the time they come to check to validate if they are registered and so on, up to the time they cast their vote, even the tallying. What saddens me is that there's been quite a bit of debate about manual and electronic backup. And for me, that's just one small part of the cog. There is an entire wheel that we need to look at from end to end. And for me, that entire process can be automated. Kenya, times have moved, so there is no reason why we can't automate that entire process. But again, that's how Kenyans are. We tend to go with where the political elite take us. If it's just manual versus electronic transmission of results or identification of voters, we limit ourselves to those parts. I've always asked, that's good, but why don't we go the full hog? In fact, my appeal to IEBC, and in this regard, let me make a direct appeal to the CEO. He's been very adamant about trying electronic or mobile voting. Mm-hmm. Why don't we even try it just for disabled voters or expectant mothers, instead of standing on the queues for 10 hours, 8 hours, or even 3 hours? Why don't we try? The numbers may not be that huge. People who are disabled, people who are the elderly, those say 80 years and above or something, so that in these coming elections we pilot. And I would be so happy if Kenya did the first world mobile voting. Even though Estonia and Brazil are living in electronic voting, none of them has gone mobile. So if Kenya did, Kenya would be the first. Very often when we talk of mobile voting, people ask us, but which other country of the world has done it? And I always answer with a question. Before Kenya did mobile money, which other country did it? The rest of the world is looking towards Kenya to show leadership. So why are we not grabbing the opportunity? So my challenge is for the IBC, let's, at least for the disabled people, expectant mothers, and the elderly, let's experiment. I don't think there would be more than 2% of the total voting population, so that we exempt them from this problem of being on the queues for long hours. But yes, in terms of kind of tracking the voting materials, it's all easy. Actually, every aspect that you may think of can be automated. So you could easily follow and track through as these polling materials are moved across the county, across the constituency.
So let's look at the issue of electoral codes, because we saw the president also giving a very stern warning to I think entire country when it comes to this particular primary, that if you do not really observe peace and sobriety during these particular primaries, then also will throw, you know, the rule of the law, the book itself, hard on you. And we've seen also the Jubilee primaries were shambolic, and we were expecting also that the Jubilee party will really come hard on those particular incidences that we've seen and people perpetrating violence within the counties. Let's talk about electoral code, even as we're getting up towards general election. You know, is it just domiciled there in the constitution, but the letter of it is not being observed? Sure. So is it just something on paper?
It's a catch-22. You don't want to lose a block of votes, so you don't want to go for someone, you know. So you kind of government should be independent of parties, and this is why I feel that the president has to understand that he is the president of the entire country until he hands over or he's sworn in again, whichever the situation. He cannot be talking for Jubilee, neither can the deputy president, as long as they are still in there. They should have good enough people in the party structures, right? And leave this other thing, because we still rely on them for guidance. So how can we accept their guidance on anything when we see that they are completely driving their political party agenda? And I feel there has to be a way to cut the two. I know they're presidential candidates again, but somehow the presidency, the office of the presidency also is supposed to be national, not partisan. So there's a conflict. It's a very thin line, and it's difficult to understand when you're giving guidance and when you're not. But the one thing we need is the law has to apply for everyone. It has to apply whether it's Jubilee, whether it's ODM, whether it's ANC, whether it's any party. It has to apply for everyone. If somebody has broken the law, the systems of government should kick in and be fair. So you don't want to see a situation where there's an ODM primary that went wrong and you arrest somebody from ODM, but there's equally a Jubilee primary that went wrong and you did nothing. So as long as the institutions of government are partisan, right, which we still haven't got to a point where they're independent fully, then we have a problem. And I'm really happy that the CJ came out very clear and said, sorry, you didn't give me a job, I interviewed for the job, because then it gives us more confidence that he can actually handle an election petition. You know what I mean? So there are issues there that we really need, as government, the government is the only one that can guarantee peace after the election by making sure that all the bodies that will deal with violence, law, are independent.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to butt in, I'm sorry, Sepasaris. We have to cross over to Migori right now, where we are given to understand also the governor is casting his vote right now. Let's just cross over there and get an understanding of what is happening on the ground. Excuse me. And we get a feel of it. Also remember there, the issue of negotiated democracy has been wide. I don't think it is in Migori, it is in Homa Bay. We'll be discussing that. But let's just listen in to Enoch Sikole from Migori to give us an update of what is happening.
Thank you so very much, Dibal. And we have just witnessed here, this is Rapogi Primary School. This is the polling center here. And we have witnessed the governor, that is the incumbent governor, vote here. So he has cast his vote. And I'm joined live with Governor Okoth Obado to just tell us now what he feels, how he feels about after exercising his democratic right. Definitely, we expect that he has voted for himself. Welcome to NTV, Governor.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. And let me greet my viewers. Good morning, viewers. I hope it is being aired live. Now, the feeling here, as you can see, even Wananchi themselves are feeling happy. They want this to be their day. I equally expect a good outcome by the end of the day. Yeah, this is based on the feelings that have been gathering all over the county. I want to say that I did enough campaigns, and generally Wananchi are satisfied with not only the campaigns, but they are also satisfied with my performance over the last 4 years. So I just expect a good outcome by the end of the day.
Now, in the recent times during the campaigns, they were witnessed here lots of violence and bitter exchanges between you and your rival, that is Ochilo Ayako. This is the day that the people of Migori are expected to nominate the person who will fly the ODM ticket here. What is your expectation in terms of maintaining peace, in terms of ensuring that let's say normalcy is maintained here during this ballot time and after the results are announced?
Okay, and on my side, I've been a peace crusader. Unfortunately, some of my opponents have been behaving in very, very desperate manners, like causing chaos here and there, and that has become their trademark. If you look back into what happened in 2013, the campaigns here were very, very peaceful. We never recorded any ugly incident. Unfortunately, this time round, we have some candidates, and specifically just one candidate who is, I think, desperately looking for the seat and would stop at nothing. So my appeal to him is that he should know that these elective posts, you cannot obtain them by force. You have just to talk with wananchi to get their mandate.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is my simple appeal, and I would really plead and request my supporters to desist from any form of fighting. Any form of fighting, please let us desist. Even if we are provoked to whatever level, we know the proper channels of airing our grievances.
Okay.
We have our security personnel here, we have the police, and should anybody think about coming to disrupt a peaceful exercise like this, then it will be unfortunate. But what my supporters here will do, and that is something that I've told them over the time, is that they should really resist the temptation to retaliate when they are provoked. Even when they are highly provoked, please let us resist that temptation to retaliate.
Now, in 2013, you were rigged out of the nomination exercise, if I remember well, and you moved to another party which you clinched. But my question is, do you see this time that the party and the officials here will conduct a free and fair election?
Up to now, I want to believe that the exercise will be free and fair. But I must point out those desperate moves by our opponents, by my opponents. I know that they have tried to do a lot of underground dealings, including putting even their supporters to be the presiding officers and the clerks. When the directive from ODM was so specific, it only said that the head teachers would be presiding officers and the clerks. Now, some people decided to circumvent that by putting their supporters. So that is what I've seen, but I don't fear it, because I know that those presiding officers and the clerks are not the voters. The voters are the majority of wananchi who will exercise their democratic rights by voting.
Mr. Governor, now when we look at the issue of violence and the issue of goons during nomination, during voting, it's usually planned but executed by the youth. Planning is by the politicians, but execution is done by the youth. Probably as the county boss right now in Migori County, what is your message to the young people who actually today are participating in the voting exercise, but if things maybe go wrong, they might be manipulated by the politicians to do the dirty work?
Yeah, on my side, I want to talk about the youths who have been my supporters. Over the years, they have been very, very peaceful. So I don't see them changing from that, because a disciple is as good as his or her master. So if you have a bad master who will indoctrinate you with those acts of hooliganism and thuggery, then it is unfortunate. But our youth, the way we know it, we should look at all the avenues of empowering them. And that is what I'm doing. Yeah, the aspect of socioeconomic empowerment must not be underplayed. Okay. Let us look at that instead of engaging the youth in acts of hooliganism. Let us give them something that can enable them to earn a decent living.
Thank you so very much, Governor. That is Governor Okoth Obado, just after voting, speaking to NTV. He has maintained that he has been calling for peace among the youth and the residents of Migori County to ensure that during the voting exercise and after the ballot, they maintain peace. And just Dibal, to show you behind me, there is this very long queue of residents here in Rapogi who have come out to cast their ballot. And there are two lines, if you can see, just indicating that people here, the turnout is good and the voting exercise. Actually, the governor was the first person to cast his ballot and exercise his democratic right. So, as you can see, these are people who have come and are still streaming in at Rapogi Primary School to just ensure that they have a list, or they pick the people they think can lead them in the next 5 years. So as we speak, things are cool here. People are patient and really waiting for their time. You can see we have both male and female. We have the young and those who are aged. They're here. Probably we can speak to a few here at Rapogi to tell us what is their expectation during the voting exercise and after the ballot. Asante sana mama, unaitwa nani?
Margaret Omolo Tieno. Margaret Omolo Tieno.
Unaitwa?
Margaret Omolo Tieno.
Tomolo Tieno. Naomba uniambie ulifika hapa saa ngapi na unaona hali iko vipi?
Ni saa 3.
Niambie unaona.
Na daonje saa 12.
Saa 12. Niambie hali iko vipi? Mambo yako vipi?
Yakatachia.
Wache huo.
Wasacha kidhuluo. Ana daonje saa 10 okinyi. Alafu adwana lingombulo tama ni okaling poda chu.
Okay. Yeah. Asante sana. You can hear she's very happy that at the end of the day she'll be able to exercise her democratic right. Mama, habari?
Nzuri sana.
Niambie unaitwa nani?
Mimi naitwa Rose Okoth.
Ulifika hapa saa ngapi?
Nilifika saa 12.
Na umeona hali iko vipi?
Hali iko mbaya kwa sababu niliwahi hapa kupiga kura, nikapata vitu vya kupiga kura bado haijatangulia. Alafu mpaka saa hii niko laini haisongezi. Sasa sijui nitapiga kura saa ngapi, lakini niko na njaa asubuhi saa hii. Sasa sijui nitapiga kura saa ngapi.
Lakini una matumaini kwamba utasubiri hadi ufike, kwa sababu naona kuna watu wengi mbele, lakini umesema utasalia hapa.
Nitasubiri kwa sababu nilikuja kupiga kura. Sasa nitasubiri mpaka nipige kura hiyo. Nichagulie yule ambaye napenda.
Odibal, I told you there are several people here. As you can see, we have even the young and we have the aged. They have just come here. Probably if we can just get a sneak peek of how the line is very well, and also talk to even young men here, the youth. Sasa bwana.
Salama sana.
Unaitwa nani bwana?
Mimi naitwa John Kamau.
Naona umekuja mapema. Ulikuja saa ngapi?
Tulikuja hapa saa 11 hivi, tulikuwa tushafika hapa ili tuweze kupiga kura.
Yeah. Na labda shughuli imeanza saa ngapi na unaona hali iko vipi?
Hali inakuwa ni gumu kwa sababu tulifika mapema, shughuli nayo imeanza kama imechelewa. Kitu saa 2:30 walikuwa wameshaeleta hizo debe za kura, lakini tunavutana kwa line hapa. Unaona hata hapa sasa tulikuja hapa saa 11 hivi, tulikuwa hapa kwa line. Mpaka saa hizi hata tujaingia ndani. Sasa tunashindwa ni shughuli gani inaendelea huko ndani.
Lakini tumeona governor ameweza kupiga kura. Inaonyesha kwamba labda kuna matumaini kwamba mambo yataendelea sasa sawa.
Tunaweka hiyo tumaini, lakini bado tunaumia hapa kwa sababu tumekaa hapa kwa line, watu wana mashughuli mingi. Tunataka tumalizane na hii maneno ndio watu waende mashughuli zao, lakini tunaona inakwama sana. Ndio governor amepiga yake akatoka, lakini sasa sisi line haisongi. Tunashindwa ni nini inaendelea. But tunatarajia tumalize.
Na wewe matumaini yako kwamba baada ya kupiga kura na hadi jioni kipi kifanyike, hali kuwe vipi, na labda unatamani nini, matamanio yako yawe vipi?
Amani ndio tunataka. Tukishamaliza kura, yule atatangazwa ameshinda, watu wafanye kazi. Yeah.
Na sasa tumeweza kuona kwamba vijana ndio wametumika sana wakati ambapo tumekuwa na ghasia kama eneo hili. Na unaona wewe uko katika umri ambayo unaweza sema ni kijana. Labda ujumbe wako kwa wenzako ambao ni vijana katika kaunti ya Migori.
Tuchague viongozi wazuri ndiposa watu wapate makazi, vijana wapate makazi, alafu tusikue idol. Unajua saa zile watu wako idol ndio tunatumiwa nao viongozi. Kwa sababu kuna viongozi wengine wabaya, ni tamaa zinawapeleka huko, wanaona pesa ziko huko mingi, sasa wanataka wakiingia huko waweze kupata pesa, alafu ndio wanatumia vijana. Yeah.
Jina lako ulikuwa umesema unaitwa?
John Kamau.
John Kamau.
Yeah.
Asante sana na uendelee kupiga kura. Tukuje hapa. Labda unaitwa nani madam?
Mimi naitwa Sharon. Sharon.
Nani?
Sharon.
Sharon, jina moja majina mawili.
Sharon
Awori. Hebu nieleze ulifika hapa saa ngapi? Hali imekuwa vipi? Unaona mambo yako vipi?
Si tulikuja hapa saa 12. Ballot zikakaa sana. Tumetegea ndio imeanza saa hii sasa.
Labda ni kitu gani kinakufanya uje hapa? Ulimesema ulikuja saa 12 asubuhi. Ni mapema sana. Kitu kipi ambacho kimekufanya ama msukumo upi umekufanya ukakuja hapa uvumilie baridi la asubuhi na wakati huu bado uko kwa laini ndefu lakini bado unashikilia na bado unasubiri? Ni kipi kinakufanya uwe na hiyo subira?
Tunataka kuchagua mwenye atakuwa anatufanyia kazi vizuri.
Okay, asante sana. Dibal, you've heard about it. You have had people here, they're enthusiastic. They're still waiting for that time. I told you earlier in our earlier link that this is ODM stronghold, and as you can see, people are still coming in here to exercise their democratic right. They're full at the door. If you can see, they're here just trying to go in, but it's filled. If Eric, you can show how things are. That is the door. You can see that is the door to the polling station, station there, and there is a lot of commotion because each and every person wants to go in there to cast their ballot. The numbers here are swelling up. People are still coming in to just see that at the end of the day, they choose who they feel is their right leader. Commotions here and there. We are trying to get a picture of how things are working inside here, but is a hard task. It's just maybe impossible, but Eric is trying to get in there so that we can get a picture of what is happening inside the polling station, whether we have enough ballot boxes, whether we have enough ballot papers. I remember one of the issues that have been raising emotions and tempers during this exercise has been inadequate ballot papers, inadequate or insufficient ballot materials. So as you can see, lots of commotion, each and everyone, even us getting a space to get inside is just difficult here. Each and every person wants to get in, and the commotion is just too high. We're still trying to get in to give you a picture of what is happening inside here. Actually, we have managed now. We have managed to come in. Now we can show you what is happening here, and you can see the line even inside the polling station is still swelling even inside here. Each and every person here, as you can see here, many people are already in the polling station. Quite a number. They are voting. This is where they are casting their ballot, and you can see this gentleman here is trying now to ensure that he's voting for the right person and is going inside the correct ballot, because if it's smart and drop, for example, a ballot paper that belongs to the governor into a box that belongs to the senator, then that one becomes a spoiled vote. So they are trying to ensure that votes correctly. That is key. But I can see here quite a number of young men here. I don't know if they are voted, but we can talk. I don't know if they are agents. Are you agents? Yeah, they are agents. So let me try and get someone who has voted, and we get probably his feeling or how he has enjoyed the voting process, whether it has been smooth or not. Vipi boss?
Iko poa saidi.
Unaitwa nani?
Fredrico yuko Tieno.
Unaona uko karibu, unakaribia, unafeel aje?
Mimi nimefeel aire.
Ndio umeingia. Ninaona watu ni wengi sana.
Watu ni wengi sana.
Asante sana. You can see once someone enters the polling station, the feeling changes because it's a struggle to get in here. Dibal. It's a big struggle because there are so many people who have lined up here that those who are just waiting patiently outside to get a chance to come in here and cast their ballot. Back to you, Dibal, from Migori County.
Well, it's good to see that people have massed in the polling center there in Migori with our reporter Enoch Sikole really working hard to make sure that we get the accurate pictures as well. And of course, we can see peace and sobriety is prevailing in Migori compared to what happened last time as well. And that is a good indicator that, of course, the exercise is bound to run smoothly for the rest of the day. Right, we need to be seeing also, just looking on, we can see there is a nun there also. So we see that they're actually casting their votes right now. This is also from the clergy as well. This is happening in Migori. Right, we continue with our conversation here. Beautiful pictures there from Migori, a very contentious place that we saw last time in regard to the sporadic violence that happened last time. And we know we have Okoth Obado really trying to fight for his political survival. We have the aspirant as well, Achilo Ayako, who is a former member of parliament as well, and also the director of Kenya Nuclear Electricity Board as well. And also we have Anne Anyanga, I should say. Also, she's running for that gubernatorial seat in Migori. As we're winding up, the issue of negotiated democracy also is coming to the fore. And we always thought that this is happening in Northeastern, but also in Homa Bay. We know, if we hack back to 2013, there was an agreement that the governor should come from Rachuonyo, a region that comprises of Karachuonyo and Kasipul, Kabondo constituencies. Senator was allocated to a resident of Suba region that comprises Suba and Bita, or comprise, I should say, of Suba and Bita constituencies, Rangwe region comprising, I should say, of these other constituencies. As we're winding up, because we're really strapped for time, it's 9 o'clock on the nose, just give us a picture of negotiated democracy happening also in this part of Kenya as well, not only in Northeastern. Sure. Esther Pasaris, very briefly.
I mean, like if you look at Nairobi, for instance, I think Embakasi South, right, we had two contenders. We had Ken Gondi and Sumra. And from what I gather, one of them was told, step down, because we wanted to have an ethnic balance, you know. And I think that's fantastic. We have to be an all-inclusive government, because if we don't do that, then people feel left out. In Kenya, we're not looking at who is the best person to do the job. We're looking at who from our tribe is in government. And this is a precedent that's already been set. Eventually, I think we will reach a point where we look at the most qualified person and we won't care what tribe or community comes from. But for right now, we're in that domain where tribalism reigns, and we need to actually make sure that the government and the leaders are all-inclusive. Nairobi is cosmopolitan. ODM wanted a balance, and I think they found a way to negotiate with the various people so that we can actually have a balance.
And Nairobi has been a tricky one, especially when it comes to gubernatorial seat from the Jubilee end. There's antagonism that is ongoing. We don't know what will be the fallout so far, especially with Mike Sonko and Peter Kenneth as well. So is negotiated democracy bound to prevail when it comes to this particular city in Nairobi?
Well, first of all, we have it as a clear instrument in our coalition agreement that negotiated democracy is part of the process of reaching a consensus where we make it all-inclusive. And I do hope, even after the party primaries, we shall engage on some kind of a prudent approach to the elections by ensuring areas where fielding against each other, we run the risk of losing to our opponents. We go towards that particular thing. Once we form government, there is enough for everybody, and there is enough for every community and all shades of opinion. So it is not a new thing. It is something that happens here and also elsewhere in the world.
Thank you.
Debal, I don't think we should celebrate too early what we are seeing in Migori. Now it looks a little calm. There's no guarantee it will remain like that. Right. Honorable Kirwa here and I, in 2001, went to campaign for NAC, the NAK. We were actually, I don't know if he recalls,
I do.
at a place called Riosiri, we were shot at with bows and arrows. So Migori can be very volatile. Unfortunately,
So
it's probably some of the same names whose names are akin to violence, and that shouldn't be allowed. But talking specifically of negotiated democracy, other countries have what the electoral colleges. In the UK, for example, the ordinary citizens don't elect party candidates. They go through electoral colleges. As long as there's a clearly defined system that is fair to each and everyone, I have no problem. But what we are calling negotiated democracy in Homa Bay last time was sham, because there was no place where elders from whether it's Karachuonyo or Ndewa or Suba or Rangwe came together who were given the mandate by the people to negotiate. So it's a ploy that some people, candidates, used to make sure that they have an upper hand of other candidates. So yes, negotiated democracy, but let it be clearly defined, stipulated, and complied with fully.
Thank you very much. As a Pasaris, women rep aspirant, Nairobi, thank you very much for coming through and also for taking us through this particular conversation of looking at the Jubilee ODM primaries. We want to thank you also, Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who is the Deputy Leader of Amani National Congress and also senatorial aspirant Trans Nzoia. Thank you for coming through. Dr. Shemo Chodho, Global Leader, Kenya Diaspora Alliance. We really do appreciate. Also, for some of you that are saying we didn't have a balanced panel, we invited Alice Wahome. She cancelled at the last minute. We invited also Isaac Maura. He couldn't make it. And also Farah Malim as well this morning. But also him, he got a miss-up in the morning, so he couldn't make it. Thank you very much for your valued company. We continue with this installment of Decision 2017. My colleague Larry Mado is taking up the baton to carry on with the questions, of course, from our panelists, from you, and from your Twitter handles as well, or tweets that are coming through our Twitter handle. We can see a rush of them coming through our Twitter handle. Thank you very much for your valued company. I am Dibala Nea.
Tumejenga 4-bedroom maisonette hapa. All fiber-ready townhouses connected with fiber to the home. It's the holiday. I want to spend time with my kids. Nothing brings family together like fiber. Downloads are very fast. Streaming, eco. Mawe. Niki, tunajenga fiber-ready 2-bedroom apartment going for only 6 million. Pale kwa kona. Can you invest your money wisely na uchukue fiber-ready houses?
Call Njambi Telecommunications to get connected. This is Fiber.
The secret in having a seamless roof lies in getting the right roofing material and the right installer. When buying your roofing sheets, take your time to understand the product, its properties, and its durability. Remember, the roof is the crown of your home.
New Lifestyle stone-coated roofing tile, guaranteed for 50 years by Mabati Rolling Mills. Lifestyle, beauty that lasts a lifetime.